So how do unexpected events affect our timetable? So you might have noticed that I've been away for just over 2 weeks. I left at the end of my 6th week, and I'm asking myself now, is this the 7th week of my 12-week challenge, or am I absorbing these 2 weeks and going straight on to my 9th week? Unfortunately, COVID caught me for the second time in 2022. And so I was completely out of things, totally exhausted, and couldn't really function properly, especially not get on here and carry on with my challenge. You may even hear that I've been left with a particular kind of chesty, breathless cough that I'm really hoping that will leave me soon. Apart from that, I've got my energy back and I've got my mojo back, and I have decided at this point that I'm going to absorb those 2 weeks as part of my 12-week challenge. And so even though I've lost the time, if you will, that's what happens in life, right? At least that's what I'm going to try and absorb and give myself the rest of the time from 9 until the end of the 12th week to, well, basically just to give over how I'm managing with my own challenges. But also, nothing is completely lost, because the idea of this 12-week challenge was basically to come on every day and give over of my experience, my learning, my wisdom, and as the first committed action. And the second committed action was that I was actually giving myself a challenge that I would also create an online course. So these two things are still going ahead, and I'm going to jump back on again at the 9th week, absorbing that unexpected life event. And once I get to the 12th week, well, without cheating completely, I'm going to see, will I give myself another 1 or 2 weeks bonus time, or shall I just call it a day at 12 weeks. Now, the reason for this is not just, just kind of, play with a book sort of thing. It's basically back again to Parkinson's law. And Parkinson's law, I remind you, is that we fill the time that we've got, basically. And so if I give myself another 2 weeks starting from now, then there's no doubt that I'm going to fill that. But an interesting experiment will be that if I don't have those extra 2 weeks, will I be able to fulfill what I want to do anyway? And so I think that's the message for today. Back to the Parkinson's law, that we fill the time that we've got. And if we shorten that, there's a good possibility that we'll still make it anyway. Anyway, hopefully I'm back on track now, and that I'll be back on my daily podcasts and see how we progress from there. I'm always interested in your feedback, your comments, your questions. Thank you all who had your good wishes and your inquiries and why I had disappeared for a little bit. So bouncing back into action, and here we go off on the second part, if you like, of my 12-week challenge. Take care. See you tomorrow.
Dov Benyaacov-Kurtzman has embarked on a 12-week daily live challenge to disseminate a mixture of knowledge, combining his hand-picked golden nuggets from his personal library together with his decades of experience and learning. He is doing this as a committed action to service his values of contributing and helping others, using himself as the subject of this exercise. despite his feelings of awkwardness, anxiousness, and shame, which usually forms a barrier of uncomfortableness within, holding him back from accomplishing his goals. Dov Benyaacov-Kurtzman is an accomplished psychotherapist and clinical social worker with many years of learning and experience. And yet his self-disclosure of his vulnerability and openness is to demonstrate the human condition that we all experience from time to time. Disclaimer: the contents of this podcast, such as text, graphics, images, and other material contained on the podcast, are for informational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your mental health professional or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding your condition. Never disregard professional advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast.